Good morning, White Sox fans. I'm Jim Margulis, and this is your White Sox wake-up call for September 27th, 2023. The White Sox jumped out to a 3-0 first-inning lead against the Arizona Diamondbacks on Tuesday night, only to lose 15-4 via 14 unanswered runs, but let's set that aside for the moment to talk about a couple other things. First off, the White Sox placed Luis Robert Jr. on the injured list with an MCL sprain, so his season is over. It was one of the few individual seasons on the White Sox you could call a success, as he hit 38 homers and 36 doubles, stole 20 bases, posted an .857 OPS, played a center field that merits Gold Glove consideration, and he should get a fair amount of MVP votes when all is said and done. Best of all, he played in 145 games when he'd never even reached triple digits in that category, so he showed everything he needed to show in 2023. Also, Chris Getz spoke to the media before Tuesday's game. He's still short on specifics, whether it's about options for Tim Anderson or Liam Hendriks, or how much of the coaching staff will return. However, the way he's talking makes it seem like the White Sox are going to pump the brakes on the idea of a quick turnaround. He didn't say the White Sox are rebuilding, but when Scott Merkin asked Getz if he sees a possible contender in 2024, Getz was a lot more open-ended than Jerry Reinsdorf was at his introduction. Getz said that it'll take a, quote, deeper dive, unquote, to figure out the best plan moving forward, and that he's been figuring out, quote, foundationally where we are with different departments so we can avoid these extreme swings, unquote. That's fine because while circumstances might prevent Getz from doing a complete gut job on the roster, he does have to open up some areas in order to remediate all the mold. I just wanted to see that construction metaphor all the way through. Anyway, as for the game on Tuesday night, everybody but Eloy Jiménez should feel pretty bad about themselves. Jiménez hit a 3-run homer in the first inning to give the White Sox a 3-0 lead, then smoked a single through the middle to make it a 4-1 game in the second. But then the whole enterprise caved in with a couple innings hinging on problems around second base. In the third, Jose Urena gloved a comebacker for a potential 1-6-3 double play, but he fired wide of Tim Anderson, and the error led to 2 runs. In the fourth, it was Anderson's turn to mess it up. After Urena walked the ninth hitter, he got Corbin Carroll to hit a grounder to the right side. It developed too slowly, and Carroll runs too quickly, for the Sox to think about a double play, but that didn't stop Anderson from coming across second and losing contact with the bag before the throw from Elvis Andrus arrived. It was initially ruled a 4-6 fielder's choice, but the review showed that Anderson didn't come close to holding the bag, so Arizona had 2 on with nobody out. Yada yada yada, the Diamondbacks ended up batting around in a 6-run fourth to take a 9-4 lead, and then it got gradually worse the rest of the way. The Diamondbacks out-hit the White Sox 12-9, but they also out-walked the White Sox 7-3, came up with 3 homers and 2 triples, and played errorless ball while the White Sox botched 2 fielders' choices and a rundown as well. The White Sox are now 1 loss closer to 100 at 60-97, and it's the kind of effort that makes it harder to see them coming up with a winning record over the last 5. They'll get a quick turnaround today with the first of 2 midweek day games against Arizona, when Brandon Pfaadt will face Luis Patiño in what looks like another bullpen game for the White Sox. First pitch will be at 1:10 p.m. Central on NBC Sports Chicago. As for Thursday's impromptu rescheduling, when it comes to White Sox tickets, it seems like White Sox fans will buy that for $1, especially if parking is free as well. The White Sox said they have sold nearly all available seats, and a search of Ticketmaster is showing nothing. I'd look on StubHub, but that would defeat the purpose. I'm guessing the stands won't reflect the tickets sold because if you buy a ticket and don't go to the game, you're only out $1. But still, I'm holding out hope for the most uninterested capacity crowd in baseball history.
There's no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform that you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because Indeed does the hard work for you. They show you the candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your description immediately after you post so you can hire faster. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports, and support the show by saying that you heard it on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Around the league, if you saw what happened to the Cubs on Tuesday night, perhaps you'd think that contending is overrated. The Cubs led Atlanta 6-0 through 5, only to lose 7-6 on a 2-run error by Seiya Suzuki, who flat out missed a Sean Murphy fly ball that should have ended the 8th with the Cubs still leading 6-5. The lights might have been a factor, but given that the ball was hit to the right center gap, Suzuki should have been able to give himself an angle. While the Cubs lost, the other NL bubble teams gained ground. The Reds roared back to beat the Guardians 11-7, while the Marlins were rained out against the Mets, so they temporarily gained a half game. The Diamondbacks are now a game ahead of the Cubs in the second spot, while Miami's a half game behind the Cubs, and Cincinnati 1.5 back of the third spot. In other National League postseason news, the Phillies clinched their wildcard berth with a walk-off 3-2 victory over the Pirates, while the Cubs' loss helped the Brewers clinch the NL Central despite a 4-1 loss to the Cardinals. Moving over to the American League, the Orioles drew closer to clinching the AL East by shutting out the Nationals 1-0, reducing their magic number to 2 over the Rays, who beat the Red Sox. As for the AL West, it tightened a little bit. The Mariners were able to halt their 4-game losing streak by beating the Astros 6-2, while the Rangers got clobbered by what's left of the Angels by a score of 9-3. Despite the loss, that's the best possible outcome for the Rangers because they still maintain a 2.5 game lead over the Astros in the West, even if Seattle is now within 3. It's also good news for the Mariners because they're back to being a half game back of the Astros for the last wildcard spot. In between, the Blue Jays failed to tighten their grip on the second spot because they were shut out by the Yankees 2-0, but they're still a game and a half up on the Astros. And finally, the baseball world said goodbye to Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson, who can lay claim to being the greatest defensive third baseman in baseball history with 16 consecutive Gold Gloves. He was 86 years old. That'll do it for this edition of the White Sox Wake Up Call. Visit SoxMachine.com to complain about the game, talk about some comments from Getz and Pedro Grifol, and I also dove into Andrew Benintendi's disappointing performance in left field. If you are new to the Sox Machine podcast, you can subscribe to us wherever podcasts are found, and if you like what you hear and want to help us in our mission to watch the White Sox so you don't have to, you can support us at patreon.com/SoxMachine, where supporters get an ad-free version of the site and show with bonus content on both for as little as $2 a month, with savings on an annual plan. The Sox Machine podcast is a production of SoxMachine.com and part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Jim Margulis. Thanks for listening.